Hello again and welcome to another episode of Bophelong with me, Rifio Wemwilwa. In 2013, videos of a young man called the Pavement Bookworm went viral, shot by a renowned South African cinematographer. The story of a homeless 25-year-old, recovering drug addict and an inspiration for many passing his corner along Barry Herzog Road in Johannesburg have caused a paradigm shift for a man who grew up with dreams too big for his small hometown of Port Shepstone in KwaZulu-Natal. Dreams that got him invited to the 2015 State of the Nation address even. Well, this is the story of Philani Dladla.
Never in his wildest dreams did he ever think of being invited to the State of the Nation address. Spotted on the streets of Johannesburg selling books, Philani Dladla was surprised to be among special guests invited by Jacob Zuma. The State of the Nation address is an annual event in which the President of South Africa reports on the status of the nation. Every year, Parliament honors citizens who are doing outstanding work in the communities by inviting them to the sauna. These include eminent citizens, community activists, learners, as well as entertainers and sports personalities. This year, Dladla graced Parliament alongside the likes of Olympic swimmer Chet Leclos and sports star of the year Portia Modise. Philani Dladla is a 25-year-old recovering drug addict. Based in Johannesburg between the Glen Eagles and Barry Herzog intersection, Dladla reviews a host of books and sells some of them for cash.
People like across the world, like in other countries, they know a lot about me than most locals, but I didn't know that our head of states also know my name. I'm out of words, I don't know what to say.
Growing up, Philani seemed to have a normal childhood until his curious mind got the better of him.
I grew up in KZN in Port Shepstone, and for me growing up was just very, like I faced a lot of difficulties growing up, like your peer pressure, experiencing, like having feeling that need that you want to be cool. And I ended up being a part of this crew that was the coolest crew at my school, which just led my life into a disaster because in order to impress those guys, I had to start smoking. I had to be a bully. We used to take kiddies stuff. We used to save our money for drinks on weekends. So for me, growing up was quite a mission.
From a rural school that only communicated in isiZulu, Philani's life changed when he received a birthday gift.
Mom worked for the man who gave me my first birthday gift, which was a book. That book that got me, I was 11, turning 12. On my birthday, she gave me, Joseph Castelline gave me a book titled The Last White Parliament. That book, it came with a challenge. It was not just a gift because he gave me that book and made me promise that I was going to read it and tell him what it was about. If I did that, then he was going to buy me another book. That is how I started. And it was a challenge because I went to a school in a rural area, and our main language, our main communication language was isiZulu. So that book was about South African politics, and it was for grown-ups, and I had to read it and understand it so that I was going to be able to go and tell them what it was about, because I had my eyes fixed on the prize. I wanted that second book that he promised. When that guy passed away, he left me lots of books. I still got most of those books. In fact, some of those books are the books that I used to start selling books on the street, but I never sold them because they were special to me. They had like a sentimental meaning.
Like some of the teenage boys seeking attention, Philani was to misbehave. When he started getting into trouble in Port Shepstone, his mother sent him to Johannesburg to give him a better chance.
I disrespected everybody, and it resulted into me trying to commit suicide, which is the reason why she was trying to, hey you, ninjani, wala wala. Yeah, so she sent me to Joburg so that I can start maybe a better life, like to be away from people, from negativity, to be away from people who were calling me names, because can you imagine after getting kicked out of school, people start talking a lot about you.
Philani left the seaside village for the lights of Johannesburg. He followed in his mother's footsteps and became a healthcare worker. He worked in a home for the elderly and enjoyed looking after the residents. He was doing very well and moved into his own apartment, but his new world came crashing down.
Ended up working in hospitality, in healthcare profession, and I guess I just got too much comfortable. Then I had my apartment, I had clothes, I had cash, I had everything that I wanted.
Before long, he had lost everything that he worked hard for, and he found himself living on the streets. There he saw horrible things happen to people around him. It made him realize that his addiction would lead him down to a fatal road.
Worst experience of my life. See, I got kicked out because I was not paying my monthly rental payment. So they kicked me out I had nothing. They only allowed me to take a blanket and some few books and a bag full of clothes. And I traded those clothes for a place to sleep. Because those guys used to sleep where Nelson Mandela Bridge is.
His unique approach soon captured attention of passing motorists and bystanders. He became known as the pavement bookworm.
Why I decided to start selling books is I wanted to give people value for their money. Because you always see people wanting something for nothing out there. Every time they will come to your car's window and say, "Hey, Poso, please, ma'am." You know how these guys can be. And every day you can give that somebody money today. But I'm sure you've seen somebody who's been on a street corner for more than 6 years now. And people, they give them money every day. But these guys, they make more money than people who've got a real job, who are employed.
Although he started making a lot of money, he wasted a lot of it on drugs as he was still addicted.
I just started experimenting with drugs. This is why I wanted to feel like how being high feels like. But that experiment, the results were disastrous because I almost died from drug addiction. Just all thanks to books and God that I'm still alive today. When I was trying to quit drugs, I was reading more self-help books, and at some point I decided to now I think this thing is working for me, but still money is a holdback. So I decided to bankrupt myself. I decided to stay broke, to remain broke with no money every day. So I started already like a feeding scheme. I started buying cup of soups and bread for people who so-called homeless people. And I used to every day, go give them cup of soups and bread. And it was helping me a lot because I was putting smiles on people's faces, and it was causing me to be broke, so I never had money to go spend on drugs.
After recovering from his addiction, his homeless friends that were still hooked tried to ruin his new lease on life.
When things were starting to get together for me, after they've realized that really I've changed, I won't go back to doing like drugs and stuff. Then they started. I remember when Tebo Khomalope did that video, which later went viral online and got people talking, and media people like your newspapers, TV, mags, everybody wanted to know who this guy is. They started visiting me every day. And those guys, it turned them sour. They just didn't like to see it happening. I remember this other day we were shooting with this other morning show from SABC 3, Expresso. And if you can ask that crew how it was like Julius Malema and his fools in Parliament did last time. it was a chaos because everybody was running. Even the cameraman was running with their with the camera because these guys, they wanted to kill me. They wanted to kill me. So it was very, it was real. It was danger. Like when you see danger is so real. Everybody was running for their lives. But God had a plan for me because look, I'm still standing now.
What a colourful life story. Even though it was a heavy non-fiction book about politics, The Last White Parliament by Frederick van Zyl Slabbert was the first birthday gift Philani had ever received, and he loved it. Until this day, it's his favourite childhood book. In fact, it was his only book. Stay tuned. After the break, we continue with the story of Philani the bookworm, who's also a motivational speaker.
Eskom could miss a deadline for a crucial step towards turning on the Medupi power station. But the power utility says it will probably meet the December the 24th deadline.
We're looking good. We've come through 3 days, obviously, of load shedding, which has unfortunately been necessary, but it's been useful to have built up our reserves for the coming week.
Shares of private hospital group Netcare jumped up today and closed on a high after the company reported increased annual profits.
The hospital group is also taking steps to aggressively reduce its dependence on Eskom due to increasing power outages and rising costs.
We'll be reducing our energy needs by some 35% over the next 10 years, and our cumulative savings of our forecast electricity bill will be in the region of R1 billion. So we're doing something very constructive about the challenges we're facing at the moment.
That's business news, weekdays at 6 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back to Bophelong. Please do share your thoughts on today's show with us on Bophelong at sabc.co.za. Colourful as his life has been to this point, at his all-time low, Philani's hope was restored between the pages of his books. They have brought him to his purpose, a fact which he now fully realizes. Take a look.
Philani Dladla, once homeless for over 3 years, is probably the last person you'd expect to be a bookworm. Yet the 25-year-old is quite a reader, and instead of begging like other homeless people, he has chosen to make a living by reviewing and selling books. His unique style also captured the attention of a filmmaker, Tebogo Malope. He recorded an interview with Philani called The Pavement Bookworm, and this video went viral in 2013.
This is action-packed. Have you ever seen that movie, Italian Job? This is Italian Job. This guy, he was in credit, owing $500,000 US. He knew where he can go rob 10 million in gold and diamond. But the problem was greed. How many people read? People read, they are old. That shows that knowledge, you can never get enough of knowledge, because these people, they are old, but they still read every day. And you come here.
Despite his newfound fame, Philani remains humble and dedicated to the homeless and children who live in poverty in and around the Johannesburg inner city. He's committed to sharing the power of reading and how it helped him overcome adversity.
If you can go to this preschool, there's more than hundreds and hundreds of boxes that are donated, not from my pockets, but my efforts, going to people who can afford them, beg them, not to beg them, because you know some rich people, they want you to first kneel down before they make things happen for you. So I had to go, speaking to people, different people, asking them for kiddies books, and we did. If you can, I've gotten many witnesses. How many kids are in here who knows my name now? We can go there and ask them, ask them how many books we've donated here. So this is what I'm doing now. See, there in Central Park, you can go ask them kiddies. Most kids, they have dictionaries there. You can go now and ask them. Someone, they see me now, they will say, hey, please, can I please have a dictionary? Because why? This is what I do.
Philani is now planning to spread his wings beyond the streets of Johannesburg.
What we're doing with gifted young leaders, my team based in Pretoria, they're doing the same thing that we're doing here. I just send them like boxes full of books like a month ago. And I'm sure those books they've gone to good use. And I could have sold those books. I was gonna make a lot of money out of them, but it makes me feel rich to put a smile on somebody's face.
Despite reading other authors' books, this young man is planning to launch his next project soon.
It's my book. It's about my life. And the foundation is for helping kids. The foundation that we're starting is for saving money. I'm working with this very, very kind gentleman, and I believe he's heaven listened to me. Busani Ngaweni, this guy, he came into my life and just helped me. He helped a lot. He helped me in every way that he could. So not every day you see a black man being so hungry to uplift another black man. Like Busani is so hungry to uplift me and help me in every project that I'm doing right now. I don't believe that you should wait until you're rich. You don't have to be rich to make a difference. Start with the little that you have. And I've proved it again and again and again that you don't need to be rich to make a difference. Right now, I don't have a million under my name, but I've got more than 100 kids who've got dictionaries today. They've got stationery. We worked with Stedler South Africa. They donated stationery for me to give to my kids. And people from all walks of life, they've donated enough books. We've had enough books for all the kids. Obviously, it's about politics.
Philani is also a motivational speaker. He was invited to speak at the TEDx Johannesburg conference. TEDx is a program designed to help communities, organizations, and individuals to spark a conversation and connection through local TED-like experience. He is also using his newfound fame to help others. He has a website requesting people to donate books.
They can find me at www.pavementbookworm.co.za. That's my website, and all the details are in there.
His hometown of Port Shepstone also acknowledges Philani's great work.
Get calls from people from in my home, at home. Like even the media, that side is, they do help, you know, even like in local newspapers, you know, and every time they collect, my brothers will tell me that, hey, you know what, we saw you on this newspaper and we've got these articles collected for you when you come back, so they can read. So they are proud of me, and I am proud of them. I know everything that I'm doing, I don't do it only for my family. I do it for this country. I believe that God brought me here to play my beat, to promote literature, and that is what I'm gonna do today, tomorrow, and for the rest of my life.
And that's what happens when you realize your purpose. We're back after this short break with the guy fondly known as the Pavement Bookworm, who lists Joseph Price, Lee Childs, and John Grisham as the cream of the crop of his favorite authors. Don't go anywhere.
Technology is all around us and is improving lives across Africa, like how young Nigerians are connecting to the internet. There are doctors finding new ways to save lives in Cameroon, and the South African public transport system that is now getting Wi-Fi. We have gadgets, apps and loads more, some of which play a big role in Africa's growth. A huge part of this African growth is technological innovation. To find out a bit more about social media and technology news from here in Africa and abroad, join me, Phumelele Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
On the morning of the 21st of February 1917, their ship was rammed by a liner. Legend has it that as the Mendi was going down, members of the 5th Battalion danced barefoot aboard the vessel. 616 died that day, most of them black.
After the rapid food security assessment that was done together with WFP and FAO, we found that this is one of the heavily impacted areas because of Ebola.
Over 300 bikers from across the province making a difference in the fight against blood-related cancer.
I'm here in support of cancer, and my sister has cancer, so I'm riding for cancer.
Catch all news locally and internationally. Tune into SABC, your #1 news channel, news at 8 from Monday to Sunday.
Welcome back to our show about Philane Gladla, the pavement bookworm. His life is certainly doing a 180-degree turnaround for the better. We spoke to the editor of his soon-to-be-released book, Adelaide Steedley.
What a gift Philane is that he very much wants to bring people with him. He very, very much, whether it's the 8-year-olds in the foundation, in his neighborhood, whether it's the guys under the bridge that he's hanging out with, he looks for the good in each of us, and he looks for the potential just like he wanted people to see in him. But he's one of those people that will actually go sit down and say, you know, we can do better. We can do better. So he took the money that he was given, and he would buy food for the other guys. You know, he would try and make a home out of the environment that he was living in, because of the faith that he had, because of the you know, hope to me sometimes sounds like you just sort of hope and kind of put it like a balloon, you put it out there and it goes. Faith means I know something's going to happen. I don't know yet, but faith is I'm doing this now because I know something better is going to happen. Yeah. And I think that's what this story is about. There's 3 big things that came out of this for me. 3 big things I think Philane wants to say. I think Philane's going to say what he wants to say. He certainly does that very well on his own. Mm-hmm. The things that I brought out of it, number 1 was that the energy it takes, to make the most out of every, I think the biggest thing is that we all owe it to ourselves, we owe it to society, just to make the most out of every opportunity you've been given. I think that he, you know, at one point he'll tell you he was sent to a particular institution because he was in the hospital because he was sick, and then he got sucked up in events there, and one bad thing led to another, and then he ends up in an institution, and he's there for about 2 months, and he creates a family there. He's able to create a situation there. He's able to create networks and create contacts. You know, when he was in Joubert Park, you know, he met a bunch of kids, and instead of sort of teaching them this is how you survive on the street, he says, these are what books are, and this is why books are so magical, and this is why books are a secret. Books are the way to get off the street. And then when he meets people like me, who presumably we would have nothing in common, we end up having a tremendous amount in common because he sees different things. And what he looks for is how can the 2 of us make the most out of this opportunity? So we collected some book bags, some conference bags in the United States that people don't use when they go to these conferences, and we're bringing 50 book bags over because I just made a couple of phone calls and people made phone calls and we end up and it's coming over. So he'll ask, and it's not for him, it's for the world around him and for the people around him. And so bad things have happened to all of us. It's all part of our story. But what Philane has done is to say, I'm going to choose to respond differently, and I'm going to choose to understand what happened differently. So the book, he talks about pretty impactful events that unfortunately in a lot of places are not uncommon. What he takes away from those events are quite uncommon. And the way he deals with the fact that these guys, I didn't realize this. I mean, I have to say, I sit in intersections now and I understand the politics. You kind of knew they sort of existed, but now I understand the politics so much more differently than I understood before, of course, when reading his book. The big lessons are that it's not what happens to you, it's how you handle it. It's all in how you handle it. And how you handle it is how do you make the most of the opportunity, not necessarily for yourself, it's a good place to start, but how do you make an opportunity for the people around you? And I would just say, too, is just to be able to understand and have compassion for those guys on the street, on the corner, and that, I'm sorry. And that we're all damaged, you know, we're all broken.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But and 5 rands can't help. And a lot of these guys are on drugs because they can't sleep at night because of what they went through. And you give them the 5 rands and you let it go. I mean, I have conversations with people before and they say, oh, you can't give them money because they're gonna go spend it on drugs. And you're like, you know what, my boss doesn't ask me what I spend my money on. And yes, I earn that money because I have the grace of God and the gift and a family that supported whatever I wanted to do. You know, but my employer doesn't say, here's your check, and by the way, you can only spend it on these 5 things. You give that money to these guys, and they go do what they have to do, what they can do, or what they want to do with it, and just be done with it.
A big thank you to Adelaide Steedley, the editor of Philani's book. The young man's appreciation of books is extremely rare and infectious, especially for someone who leads a difficult life. But all that Philani wants to do is tell the world, one motorist and one child at a time, how great it is to read. As Spanish author Carlos Ruiz Zafón said, books are mirrors. You only see in them what you already have inside of you. I hope Philani's story inspired you to pick up a book today and lose yourself in a world you may never have thought possible to be transported to. Thank you for watching. From me, Refilwe Mwilwa, and the team behind Bophelong. Till next week, it's a wrap.